What's up, everyone? What's up, people? Hello, hello. Ooh, I can't say your name, skull effer. What's up? Zach, Ryan, hello. Thanks for coming on, everybody. I have the coolest guest tonight. Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? I hope you people aren't all locked down again. So I have the coolest guest coming on tonight. His name is Bobby Sausalito. And once he gets on, I will kind of tell you guys, Devon, what's up? Love you. I'll kind of tell you I'll tell you once he comes on, kind of how I came across him. He's absolutely hilarious. If you looked at my stories today, I told you gotta check his page out. It's political stuff, but it's comedy and it's funny. And so I just thought that he would be, and he's a wrestling fan too. So that's pretty cool. So, no, I am not back in. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming on. All right, Bobby, if you're on, give me a request. Yeah, everybody, Velvet Sky's in the house. Devon's in the house. Talk with them on the chat. Let's have a little party. It'd be fun. All right, let me see. This is only my second live, so I have to make sure I actually get this right. All right, let's see if he's on yet. No, not yet. Okay. All right, just waiting on Bobby Sauce. At Take Naps is his Instagram. I'll have to ask him where he came up with that as well. So, just have one question. The Virgo in me always has a list of things that I want to talk about so I don't forget. But tonight I was like, we'll just shoot the shit. And I have one question that I want to ask him that I think will be good for everybody to know. And I didn't want to forget it. So, okay, I see he's on. Go 1 second. There he is. All right, let's see if he gets this. Let's see if I don't screw this up.
Yo,
What's up?
what's going on?
How's it going?
It's going well. How about yourself? Thanks for having me on the channel here.
Yeah, this was just a random spur of the moment thought I had. I was like, you know what? I never do lives, and I watch all your lives, your 4-hour marathon lives that you do.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I know you're a wrestling fan. I could tell that from the get-go. So I was like, this is perfect, and you're super knowledgeable. Had to have you on. I've been pimping you out all day, my friend.
Well, I appreciate it very much. I was actually talking to Mr. Spectacular last night, and because I shared that I was doing a live with you today, and he's like, nice, and he sent me a video of you guys like when you were like a couple and you fought together against this huge dude.
The bromans and the beautiful people. Yep.
Yeah. I dove in a little bit. It was pretty good.
He's good people. He'll promote the heck out of you. I mean, he promotes everybody.
We were like chatting for quite a while last night, and he had me dying. We were just like slanging the jokes back and forth. It was a spirited conversation.
Speaking of promoting.
Yeah, there you go.
I got a little delivery today. This is one of my son's Christmas presents. So
nice.
At the end, I'll have you pimp out all your stuff. I know you have a ton of social media, your merch, which is what you're wearing right now. I was hoping you would be.
Yep.
Can I get a big blue to start this off?
I got my face diaper here. Big blue.
Yes.
Yeah, I got my diaper here just in case I have to be safe from the clap. I think it's floating around in here. I got to be careful.
The only ones I wear, I have two, and they're both from your site. Because I'm like, if I have to wear a mask, it's got to either be funny or condescending. So I got one of each.
Yeah, which one do you have? I think you have the This Isn't Helping, and then what's the other one you have?
The face diaper.
Yeah, perfect.
Face diaper, not diaper. So the This Isn't Helping one, I'll wear when I'm out by myself, because I don't care what reaction I get. But when I'm with my son, then it's face diaper, because that's the safer of the two. So I just want to say how I found you initially was Tommy G.
Nice.
Shout out Tommy G. He was promoting your videos on his stories. And I saw it and I was like, this year has just been obviously so crazy. So I think it's really important to have like comedic views of the things that has been going on this year. And so when I saw your videos, I was like, oh, I can definitely get down for, you know, some comedy about, you know, about the madness. And of course, like, I just had to do a 2 a.m. stalk of the page because I'm like, this guy's hilarious. I have to watch every video now because I can't sleep unless I watch every video. And the one that had me dying, like just dying, was the one where you were in your car and you went to Smoothie King.
Yeah.
This was not like a political video at all, but just like the way you were freaking out about the straw and how you were having to explain everything. And then you were like, the part where you said, and it's not like I'm all about, you know, like, oh, I want to kill the turtles and the fish. It was like, I had like tears. I sent it to Velvet. I sent it to Mandy. I'm like, you guys gotta watch this. He's so funny.
Nice.
So that was kind of, so your videos have been taking off, obviously, like crazy big time now.
Yeah.
So I just kind of want to get a little background on you because most of my base is wrestling fans. But yes, the Velvet, the straw collapsed under the weight of the smoothie.
You know, it's funny, that video I just posted in my story, and a good friend of mine, Samara, was like, you have to make this into a video. And like, sometimes like I make so much stuff that I don't even know what's going to be good or not. And she's like, no, you have to post this so I can share it. And I posted it, and like, that's been a lot of people's like favorite video ever, interestingly enough.
It's hilarious. It was so funny.
It's like she said it's like universally relatable. Like I've had a few people message me like, this happened to me today. Like I couldn't drink out of the straw, or I got a paper straw or whatever. So I think the fact that it's universally relatable is why it's so widely liked, I think.
And what part of Florida were you in when that happened?
Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale. Okay, because I know in St. Pete they have the paper straws, but like in Tampa you can get plastic straws. So it's like, I guess it depends on like what county you live in as to what straw you can use.
Yeah, in Fort Lauderdale there was a big thing about it, but I don't know. I mean, like I think that they may have changed it or adjusted it or something, because I've definitely gotten some plastic straws since then. But
and you haven't had to hide them behind your face ID. Yeah,
I just remember like the guy, like I was like looking at the guy and I'm like, dude, like can I just have the plastic straw? And he's like, you know, they really don't want me to give it to you, and like we're on camera. And I was like, yo, like give me the straw. Like I can't do anything with, like I need this right now.
Consume your product, but it's physically impossible. So like I had my we're going to Florida next week actually, but
nice.
When we went and visited friends in St. Pete last year, we had the paper straws. It was for Halloween, and we went to a restaurant after. I can't remember what it was, like a Chili's or something. And it just got to the point where my son was like, he was like eating it. Like, you know, he's sitting in the water for so long, and, you know, kids drool and everything. And it was just, I'm like, my son's eating the straw now. He's like got paper like all over here. And I'm like, this is not any better. Like,
yeah, no. And the thing is like, there are biodegradable like plastic straws. Like I bought a box of plastic straws and they're not that much more. So it's like, hit me with an extra 6 cents on the smoothie or something, and give me a plastic biodegradable straw or like whatever. Like I'm not saying we got to kill everything, but geez.
And if they're so worried about the environment, what about all these masks? This mask litter and glove litter that they're finding. I don't know if you've seen pictures, but people will hold a giant long pole of masks that they've fished out of water. So it's like you're just trading like one like litter for another litter, and none of it's good for the environment. So it's not working.
It's typical kind of government logic where it's like, let me just handpick things to ban and not other things. Like I'm not an environmentalist in the sense that I know all of the worst things, but what I know for sure is like glitter, for example, is not good. Like we probably shouldn't have glitter, and there's probably like a whole ton of glitter that gets used in any variety of situations. Like of all the things to attack, is like straw. Are straws the highest and best use of our time here? So I don't know.
Right.
I agree. Seems a little unnecessary. But that's the government for you. They're like, ban alcohol sales on this day after this time. It's completely arbitrary, and like that's the whole problem. That's the thing is like the thing that I think makes my videos funny is that the world is the joke. Like I don't have to make the joke. They're making the joke by just being insane. All I'm doing is like reserving it back with a couple of nicknames. Like I'm not even making the humor; it makes itself. It's so
Well,
stupid.
especially this year. Especially this year. It's like if you aren't banging your head off a wall like on the daily with like stuff that comes out. So a lot of people are asking. So I didn't know like how political this was going to get because like I said, my fan base is wrestling.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, I do see a lot of people are asking some political questions, but first and foremost, so I could tell just from the way that you deliver your videos. And obviously there's never going to not be content for you. Like you said, you don't have to make it up. Just the government just has to exist.
Right.
But
Exactly.
so you were a wrestling fan at some point.
Hmm.
Wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wrong.
When I was in middle school, when I was in I think middle school, I was like a big fan of The Rock. I was like all about The Rock. It was Triple H, it was The Rock, it was The Undertaker, Kurt Angle, the Hardy Boys. It was like I think I mentioned to you yesterday, like ladder matches and cage matches, and I was a fan of Mankind, and like when they would team up, and like I thought Trish Stratus was like the hottest woman alive, and I remember there was this other dude, Rafiki, I think was his name, and he would like put his ass in people's face. Rikishi.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just like and people when I originally started watching it as when I was in middle school, people would be like, "It's fake," and I was like, and I fought it for a while when I was a young guy, and I'm like, I don't know, and then eventually once I kind of came to grips with the fact that there's a lot of showmanship, I'm like, these are super athletic people.
Oh.
Oh, we froze.
Okay. I almost had a heart attack. I was like, no, please let this be the one. So the first live I did with my friend, just side story, we had to restart it like 7 times because like her internet went out and I'm like my phone and I had to change to my iPad and I'm like, please just let this one work. So Rikishi, yeah, you were saying.
Yeah, yeah, and like I just remember thinking like it doesn't matter what this is. It's like drama, it's fun, it's like it's sayings, it's like all these things to talk about with your buddies at school the next day. Like I was a huge fan of Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think that was like my main dude, and like smashing beers, and then like he got hit by the car
The
and he was
Attitude Era.
injured.
The Attitude Era was everything for everybody. Like I don't think there's one person performing in wrestling right now that wasn't in some way influenced by the Attitude Era. Like everyone was killing it back then. They were
Yeah,
risque. They were risque. Like PG in wrestling, in my opinion, doesn't work. Like it just doesn't work. Make
yeah,
that more risque, more adult. That's why they were doing so well at that time.
yeah.
But you kind of fell out of it, right? Because I hear that.
Well, it's to me it was like I think it's kind of like video games. Like I used to play an insane amount of video games. It was one of my favorite things to do. I would play online games and I would play computer games. And as I got older, I kind of realized like I have to focus my time on things that are going to be productive. And as a result of doing that, I have to eliminate certain things. So like I love video games. I would love to play video games, but I find myself when I'm playing video games being like, what can I do that would be bettering some other thing? So like it's not just wrestling, it's lots of forms of entertainment that have just become less and less a part of my life. Because the thing about wrestling, it's kind of like sports. Like when I watch sports, if you don't watch your team for 2 years, you don't even know who the players are anymore. You don't know who's on first base. You don't know that this guy always hits home runs in the clutch. You don't know. So you kind of have to like you have to be invested like every season. And what I realized about wrestling was like after I was out for a little bit, I'm like, wait, who's this guy? Oh, this guy is connected to this guy. It's like watching season one of a show and then skipping to season three. You don't know all of the things that happen. So I found myself lost in the sense that I didn't know who the characters were anymore. And that was kind of something that made it difficult for me, kind of like sports. It's like if my favorite player retires, then I'm watching the Yankees, but it's like I have no emotional connection to what's happening because I don't know who these guys are. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what happened to me as it relates to wrestling.
That kind of happened to me once because I'm from Canada, from Toronto. So once
Mm-hmm.
I kind of moved out of Toronto, a couple years later, I'm always a Leafs fan. I'm always a Blue Jays fan. Who's on the team? Like,
Yeah,
I could tell
exactly.
I could tell you who was on the 1993 Toronto Maple Leafs because that was my favorite year in Maple Leaf history. But besides that, no.
It takes time. Like it
Yeah.
really takes time. You have to invest time. And the older that I get, the more I realize how precious time is. And it's just like, I remember when I was young, I wanted to play soccer and football and baseball and basketball and Cub Scouts. And my parents were like, look, I don't want to like shut your dreams down, but like, you got to pick like two. And that's it. And that moment in life as a kid was so defeating. But what I realized is just like, it's the same way with entertainment, the things that you spend your time on. Like, you have to be very selective about what you're going to do, because then you can really, really embrace a very small amount of things. And if the other things come back because the time is right or whatever else, then you know that you'll appreciate it if you choose to go back and focus on it. So I wouldn't say that I certainly wouldn't say that I'm out of it. And what I said to Mr. Spectacular last night is I was like, this just reminds me how much I used to love this. Like, I got to go watch something like this in person. Like, now that I'm like
Well,
old enough to understand.
everything's better live too.
Yeah, exactly. And that sounds like what a fun thing. It's like a live action, it's like a show. It's like a Broadway show, but better. So to me, it's
Yep.
better than Broadway.
Yep. And if the world ever opens back up and we have a show in Florida, I will definitely get you to that show.
Yeah, I'm for it.
Yeah. So with when I first saw your videos, I thought you were a comedian by trade. Have you ever done any stand-up comedy at all?
No, no. The short of the story is, when I was 18, I decided I wanted to be self-employed. By the time I was about 21, I was able to have enough money that it was my full-time job to be self-employed. And I was self-employed as a web developer. I built websites for small, medium-sized businesses for the last 13 years. So I've been like building websites, building online storefronts, and just doing like online marketing tasks, but primarily building and designing websites. And I made political videos kind of just as as a way of venting frustration. Like, I would yell into my phone for a couple of followers and didn't really think much of it. And one day on August 20th.
This year? Did that only start this year?
Yeah, well, to go back a little bit further, where it really kind of started was I made my Instagram account like 4 or 5 years ago. Took pictures of like my dog and a tree and, palm tree, whatever. Didn't really think much of it. My family and I invested in a spec house. We decided to build a house with the intention of selling it. So we invested in this house, and it happens to be the house next door to mine. So one day I was sitting on the couch, and I noticed that there was a porta potty in the empty lot next to my house. And I was like, that's hilarious. The first thing that comes for this house is the porta potty, not like cement or whatever. So I went out there at night one night and just recorded myself like joking around about the porta potty in this empty lot. Like, hey, you guys like need to take a dump, like come by my street, like drop heat. There's a porta potty there. And the next day people were messaging me, like my friends growing up. They're like, this is hilarious, you gotta do more. So I recorded a video every single day, pretty much, that the house was being built. And I would be like, look, and I don't know anything about construction. So I was like, look, here's a tube, here's a log, here's a brick, like what the hell's going on here? And I did that for a year, and by the time the house was done, I kind of like ran out of material because the house was sold and done and built, and that was that. So I just started talking about things that I was already paying attention to, which just so happened to be the economy and politics. And it just so happened to be, it's an election year. It was hot at that very moment. The video that I made was about the DNC. It was the first night of the DNC. It was funny delivery because I had done so many real estate videos, and it just like the stars like aligned, and that video got 60,000 views in 2 days. Mm-hmm. And I had like 1,500 followers. And I was like, I wonder if I could hit again. Like, am I funny enough to hit again? So I made another one, and it got 47,000. So then I was like, I need to make one every single day until the election, and the rest is history.
Oh yeah, because then everybody starts sharing them too, or texting them to their friends, or putting them in their story because they're hilarious. So for me being Canadian, I've never been like a politics person. I've never really known anything about it, but I think just like in March, like when all of this stuff just first started, like I didn't even really know that much about Trump. I actually met him backstage in WWE.
Nice.
Like 2006 or 2006, whatever WrestleMania where he shaved Vince's head. I think it was 06, but I was under contract with WWE at that time. So I was backstage at Raw. I was in developmental. We were just south of Atlanta. That's where we were based. And we were backstage, and I was just kind of like whatever, and then like all of a sudden like there's Donald Trump, because it was like right before WrestleMania, so they were doing like a little storyline on Raw kind of leading up to Mania. Yeah. And he just walked by, and I was like, oh shit, it's Donald Trump. And he just walked by, he just shook everybody's hand and was like, hi, nice to meet you, and hi, how are you, nice to meet you. And he just kind of walked by, and I was like,
That's awesome.
I'm like, holy, and he was really nice. That was it. It was just a meeting, but he was really nice. But don't know much. I think if you don't know much about Donald Trump and you just take things on the surface value, you're like, I don't like the way he talks. He's cocky. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, and it is
Yep.
kind of funny when you pay more attention to him, like the way it is kind of funny the way he talks, but it's not, I don't find it to be offensive. But
Right.
I didn't, like I said, I didn't know anything about politics, didn't really know much about him. So I took like lockdown time to just learn stuff because I'm like, everything's weird now. None of this makes sense. I need to start researching things. And I really hope that a lot of people have taken all the free time they've had. Hopefully they're not, rooting and looting and rioting and all the things.
Yeah.
Hopefully they would take the time to educate themselves and like learn some things. And it was just like every single thing I would just be up until 2 in the morning, put my son to bed, and I would just be like, hold on, man, I got to go back to that thing and read this. Like, and I learned myself so much about, like, I didn't know what the left meant or the right. I didn't know what a liberal was or conservative. I only voted once in my life in Canada, and I was just like, Mom, Dad, who'd you vote for? All right, that's who I'm voting for. And it was liberal.
Yeah.
But that was like when I was like 18. But
Yeah.
I took this time to really learn so much, and I studied so much, and I feel like I know so much now. What do you think about? I feel like sometimes the loudest people are that have the most to say are sometimes usually the ones that know the least
Yeah.
about what's going on. What do you think it is about these people? And I'm not saying this is anybody specific, just people in general who are so forceful and so angry and so in your face about stuff that is clearly incorrect, but they just don't take the time to learn or research. Why do you think they're the loudest in their argument?
I think that I've talked about this in a variety of different ways on like lives and on podcasts, and I kind of feel like it's the following. Human beings are inherently tribal, and we want to be part of a team. And what we want to be part of, even more than just a team, is we want to be part of the winning team, or at least the team that is perceived to be winning. Nobody wants to be at a football game and rooting for the underdog or rooting for the team that's not winning. So we want to be part of a team. We want to be part of a tribe. People also, I think, in a lot of ways, at least as it relates to this, tend to be kind of lazy. We don't necessarily want to spend our time like researching political stuff. It's boring. It's annoying. You talk about it with friends in social situations and like, don't talk about that. We don't talk about politics here. So it's very like it's a very non-social, unpopular topic that most people find boring, and it doesn't really involve me. So they don't want to pay attention to it. They don't want to research it. They're not interested in that. Yet it's part of the conversation right now because it's so polarizing. So when you take the combination of you being lazy, not want to pay attention, you can't talk about it socially, you can't elevate your understanding of it without just personally diving into research, you just naturally are like, look, I just want to let everybody know that I'm on the winning team. It's kind of like if you went to a football party, you went to a Super Bowl party, and you knew that most of the people there were going to be Giants fans. You're just going to wear a blue shirt so that they know that you're not a Jets fan or whatever else. You're not on the other side. And it's easy for them to be loud about it because again, you just want to signal to everybody else, don't look at me. I don't know what's going on, but I'm on your side. And when the side seems so obvious because you see it on the news, you see it on TV, you hear your friends say, he's a racist, he's a xenophobe, he's evil, you see it on TV, you're constantly in this barrage of information that tells you that this is the right decision. You're just signaling to everybody else, like, yo, I'm on the winning team, like, fuck this guy. And being loud raises your stock a little bit because you can pretend like you know because everybody else is saying the same thing. So
That's
it's just
raising your stock in a really bad way, though.
yeah, exactly.
You know?
But it's like I forget what the movie was, and people have corrected me in the comments before. But it's like, she's a witch. Yeah, she's a witch. She's a witch. And everybody just yells like she's a witch. If everybody agrees that he's bad, then you just yelling really loud just lets them know that don't look at me. Don't ask me for any questions. I just want to know I'm on the winning team. And I think that's what it is.
And that to me is so fascinating in a really negative way because it's like, don't you want to know? Like if you're really, if you're telling everybody you're so behind something, but you can't even answer one question why about like what
Right.
are behind it. I don't get that, because for me, I just like I can't like I what you said makes complete sense, but I can't relate to it because I've never been that person. I I I love to find other things. Like I'll dig a conspiracy all day long. I'll go down a rabbit hole. Like, cool. I'm open minded, right? It's like you don't just have to believe like what CNN tells you or what you see on the front of the National Enquirer or whatever, or like what the New York Post tells you on Twitter or what your friends are saying. Like, go research it for yourself. Like, get your own information so you can have your own. I mean, like, you can have your own addition to the conversation instead of just being like, yeah, what he said
Well,
or like this, like I would rather, and that's kind of what I did too. Like I said, like I just started researching stuff because I was like, I don't know if I like Trump or not, but I don't know why I don't know if I like Trump or not. You know what I mean? So I just started
mhm,
seeing things. And of course, if you look in the media, everything about him is spun so negatively.
yep.
But I just don't, I understand the winning team thing, but even if you see like a liberal and a conservative arguing online, and a conservative is like back, and a liberal is like nope, nope, nope. Don't you think like maybe after they're done that conversation, that a liberal person would be like, I mean, did they just make all of that up that they told me, or is that possibly true? Like, wouldn't you want to look it up and just see? Because that's just me. I would want to be like, what is this? What is this? And where did this come from? And is this true? And blah, blah, blah. That's why I dig a conspiracy theory, because I kind of feel like the crazier shit sounds probably the more true.
Yeah. Sometimes that is the case. Well, I think that number one, it requires effort. So like you have to spend the time. Like if you're going to take your own position, no matter what it is, it requires effort and time. There's no doubt about that. So take just any topic. It requires time and effort. On top of that, it's like, let's say that you were to discover that that actually was the case. Now you're not on the winning team. Now you have to defend every single thing that he ever said. So it would just make you kind of like shut up. Or maybe you would just say nothing and just believe it, but wouldn't be as loud as you were before. But even so, you have to take the time to prove it to yourself otherwise. Because if anybody was just coming in off the street like you were a child, you would just be like, Trump is bad. It would seem so obvious. And then you would have to build a case in yourself to figure out why he's not. It's like a big burden that you have to overcome just in and of itself. So I think that that's definitely part of it. But the other thing too is that in 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 any disagreement, these are all our like brothers and sisters. Despite the fact that we may disagree on these things, they're human just like us. I think that in a lot of ways, that what I assume that they do is they believe that the ends justify the means, which is like, if if this guy is a fascist, racist, white supremacist, or whatever they want to say that he is, it's
Very
kind
bad,
of like,
very bad orange man racist.
yeah, very bad orange man racist. It's like, wouldn't you slip a ballot in there for your dead uncle? Like, wouldn't you do that because he's a racist, white supremacist, very bad, very orange man? You know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah,
it's
and then
this.
to that I would say, where's the facts?
Well,
Is there
that's
is there a video where Trump says the N word or something like that? You know what I mean? Like, I've not seen it. I've
I
not.
would say I would say all objective evidence suggests that he's very not racist by all measures. And it's just that the thing about saying someone is a racist is it's a visceral reaction. You associate it with all other instances of racism you've ever seen, which are clearly abhorrent by all objective measures. You're like, you just imagine, you're thinking of the South back in the day, you're thinking of Rosa Parks, and you're just like, evil. And it gets to a point where if you have that reaction, you don't have the capacity to see beyond it. And I think that what generally, and I don't want to put everybody in the case, but generally leftists in general are they're dictated their thought process is dictated by emotion, and it's just
Right.
like, if I feel that this is bad, it must be bad. Like I had a
And that's why
discussion with a friend.
that's why they want to lower the age of voting, because they can
Right.
just get teenagers filled with angst and just play off that emotion. And I think that's terrible. That's complete manipulation. I know that's kind of the thing, but But
Yes.
one thing that I noticed, and small story for you, I've not like told anybody the story. It's crazy though. So on my Instagram, there's a picture of my son. There's a museum here where they have like an Oval Office. They have like a presidential thing, and you can like go sit at the desk, and it looks. You take a picture of the kid at the desk, looks like he's sitting in the Oval Office. So I took a picture of my son, like on the phone. You know what I mean? And it was adorable, and I put it on my Instagram, and I said something like, "I think popsicles and naps will bring world peace," you know, whatever, just like pretending my son was making rules. And
Yeah.
posted that, and immediately Trump hating comments.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, this is a cute picture of my son, like, you know, come on. And then so that night, I think this happened the next day. I went to bed the next day. I wake up and I look at my Twitter, and I have all these tweets, and it looked like something happened to me. Like everybody was like, "No, Angelina, no! Oh my God, I loved you. Please tell me no." And I'm like, "What is everybody talking about?" And then you know how you can look and see when where the initial tweet comes from. Somebody had screen captured like a picture of my son, and in quotations, because so many Trump comments were coming in, I put in quotations under the cap or beside the caption, like, "Trump hating comments will be deleted," right? So I think a bunch of people saw that and was like, "Trump supporter," you know what I mean? So then they posted it on Twitter.
Yep.
And then all these other people started freaking out, and I'm like, I'm Canadian, guys, I can't vote here, so
Yeah.
like I mean, I know who I do support, obviously, but then people, like, I would literally get a tweet and it would just be like, at actual A-Love, "You're a racist,
Yep.
racist." And I blocked a few people. I was gonna say something like, you can't just sling that word around. Like, I find that calling somebody a racist, especially this year, has been the most falsely slung around term. And it is actually disgusting to me, because I was like, I don't want people putting rude comments under an adorable picture of my kid.
Yeah.
That's why I put, "I will delete Trump hating comments." Like, and then I just ended up having to turn comments off. That is the only picture on my entire Instagram that I've had since 2014. A picture of my son in a museum fake Oval Office. That is the only picture where I had to turn comments off. And then all of a sudden everybody was like, "Angelina's racist." And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that's so
Yep.
stupid. Like, just because I said I don't want Trump hating comments under a picture of my son. But they were so just insane about it. And then all their buddies and all their little friends were like, "Oh, Angelina," and I was like, this is the craziest thing ever. Like, that it couldn't be further from the truth. For one thing, anybody who knows me know that's not true, but I feel like that happens to so many people too. What do you think people, I like, that is just, to me, that is just the cream of the crop of things you can't just run around saying somebody is, or labeling somebody as that. What is it about society today in your mind that just people think it's okay to do that these days?
Because you have all of these people in the public eye using that as the primary means of dissent. They're like, Donald Trump is a racist, and anything that disagrees with their worldview is inherently racist, systemically racist. It's like one of those things that it's like no one wants to touch it. Like, you don't want to be labeled that. You don't want to touch it. You don't want to be that. Yet it's like you could in theory say something in a private room that could be racist, and they would have no way of knowing whether you did it or you didn't. It's like making a claim about something that no one knows and no one can prove. However, in the public square now, it's like it's guilty until proven innocent. So it's kind of like you call someone a racist and everyone's like, racist, and it's just like, if you see everybody in the public square using that as the primary form of dissent, it's just easy to slang that right now because it's popular. And it's also one of those things where it's like, if Justice Brett Kavanaugh is going to be put into power, again, ends justify the means. He's a gang rapist. How the hell? You can't prove, first of all, that's insane. Second of all, you can't prove that, right? But it's now the burden of proof is on him to disprove it.
Right.
which is backwards. And that's the same thing about the racism. It's like nobody wants that. It causes this visceral reaction. If you just said he's mean or he's bad, it wouldn't light people up. So racism is just like that hot thing where it's like the bat symbol, and people are just like, yo, like, let's get him. And when you have mob rule running their operation based on emotion, those types of things are like the signal. It's like he's a racist, he's a gang rapist, he's sexual assault, grab him by the pussy, like everybody hate on him no matter what.
But then they'll be like, now it's time to heal the world.
Yeah, because it's
Peace and unity. It's like
I said in the video the other day, nothing makes me not trust somebody that says that I'm speaking the truth. If you were speaking the truth, we would know it was the truth. You wouldn't have to be like, listen, I'm speaking the truth. And that's the same thing.
I'm speaking.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm speaking.
I'm speaking. But like, that's the thing is like, if you're going to say you're the party of peace, love, and unity, we should be able to see that you're the party of peace, love, and unity. You shouldn't have it on a freaking banner behind you that says peace, love, and unity.
Well, when you really are something, you don't have to continually tell people that.
Correct.
They just know you are. And I
Exactly.
feel like what they're saying and what they're showing are the complete opposites.
That's the point, because the anticipation is that you will not take the time to disprove what thought is being served to you. If this thought is constantly reiterated to you, and all the social signals indicate that that's what it is, you now have to prove it to yourself that that's not the case. If they keep saying I'm the party of love and peace and unity, you have to be like, wait, are they not? Wait, now I have to prove it. Now I have to prove it in social circles. It's this mountain that you have to climb. And that's exactly why all of this stuff is what it is. That's why everybody gangs up on it. And that's why people that I think...
And if you have a point and you show them facts, then they come back with the Snopes debunk. And it's like...
Right, because they don't look, and I've said it a million times in my videos, it's all about depth of understanding. It's about depth of understanding. It's about knowing that is maybe not as trustworthy as a source. That because the New York Times has existed for 100 some odd years doesn't mean there's lots of super biased people that are in there cooking these things up and playing on your emotions and using trickery of words to convince you that something is one way. And again, if you have to do work and research to climb out of that, a lot of people are just like, I just want to be on the winning team. Like, this stuff sucks.
The disinformation is laid on so thick in 2020, like just in headlines alone. And it actually happens to me too. So I can relate to like how those headlines, like they are worded in such ways where like they will immediately play on that emotion, where you see something like the Yahoo thing about Donald Trump Jr. getting...
Yeah.
They didn't even say like President Trump or even Donald Trump. They were like former reality TV star's son. And they said that about a sitting president. And I just saw that and I was like, and when you watch when Trump does like briefing, or Kayleigh McEnany or Pence or anybody who does those, the journalists that are their journalism is dead, by the way, like that just doesn't exist anymore. Just the disrespect and the way they speak to them, I'm like, oh my gosh, like it is unbelievable.
If you thought that this person was a white supremacist, the ends justify the means. I will do anything at all costs to destroy this person despite any objective evidence, because I feel that he's evil. I had a conversation with a friend of mine that I've known my entire life a couple of days ago, and she had posted something that was like factually untrue. And I'm like, this is not true. Like, there's evidence to suggest this. And I remember being like, did you research this? And she goes, I don't have to research it to know what type of person he is. And I'm like, so that just means...
But why?
Because that's the point. Is it just, I know he's evil because I'm getting the emotional suggestions that he is. Therefore, all things are bad, all things are evil, now until forever. Nothing matters because he's evil. And everyone agrees with me that he's evil. So I'm in this echo chamber of validating my emotion. Therefore, he's evil and you can't tell me otherwise. And if you disagree with me, you're a racist. And that's how it is.
What I wish people would do is just think for themselves more. I feel like so many people just want to be told what to think and told what to do, and they're like, okay, whatever you tell me, I'll do. And to me, that's insane. Like, if I'm the kind, but I mean, that's just my personality where I'm like, you tell me what to do, and be like, why you tell me what to do? what's behind telling me what to do? I'm probably not going to do what you tell me to do just because you tell me what to do. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
I just don't get it. But it does seem like nowadays, like obviously there's a ton of people that are fighting back. They're not taking it anymore. But there also just seems like there's so many people that just want to be told how to live, what to think, what they can and cannot do, where they can and cannot go. And they're like, well, I'm okay with that. That to me, just because of my person, that blows my mind.
I think that the vast majority of people don't understand the power and influence that the structure has over us. And it's very easy to dismiss it as, who cares? It's not going to affect me, until you have certain things taken away from you. Number one, like in 2020. And secondly, I think a lot of it, not to like throw anyone under the bus, and maybe this is not the right thing to say, but I think when you like start paying a lot of taxes, or paying a fair amount of taxes, or buying and selling stocks, or seeing things on TV that you're like, that doesn't seem right, that's the thing that really lights you up. And I think that, you know, people say like ignorance is bliss, and like it is until it claps you, until it hurts your family. And I think that that's the thing, is that there's nothing wrong with not paying attention as a human being of the earth. If you're as a soul, I get that, and I can empathize with people that are like, nope, I don't like politics. But the thing is that dismissal of personal responsibility of paying attention means that you can get trampled on, and that you're going to have to take it if you don't pay attention before it's too late. And that is the unfortunate reality that comes along with that ignorance is bliss. It's like, ignorance is bliss until they shut your business down, until they take your livelihood, until you fucking die because of this, or because some drug that could save your life got hung up in red tape. It's like, you're not going to get there naturally. You're not just going to flow there. You're going to get there almost like out of pressure. And it takes time for that to happen, which is why I find most people, they just scratch the surface. They're like, he's a racist, vote blue, I'm out of here. Want to be on the winning team, not pay attention. But later in life, they become more and more aware. How you could be 57 years old, or 60 years old, and still think that that's cool, I don't know. But it's unfortunate. It's just that it's a taboo subject, and it's hard to get people to want to invest time into something that's otherwise inconsequential to their life until now.
So I'm sure you've gotten backlash of your own.
Yeah.
Trolling of your own, just because of the nature of your videos, which people should just appreciate, just them, whether you're blue or red or whatever, because they're hilarious. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's just funny. And just because everything is just so wacky, I think the best way, and I think you agree, and that's why you do your videos this way, the best way to get points across and to just be like, everything's crazy and we're all going to lose our minds, and just inject some humor into it.
Right. That's why that's the thing, is like when I first started becoming interested in the news, it was primarily because, like, it came back to a very, very specific point. I was like, what is the most important thing in life for me? Freedom. Okay, I'm going to establish this freedom. How do I become free? How do I become autonomous? How do I not have a boss ever? In order to do that, I needed to like really love and be passionate about finances. I need to understand money. In order to understand money, you need to understand the government and who makes that money valuable. So like, freedom led me to money. Money led me to government. Government led me to all of this other stuff. And I was like, wait, in order for me to be a student of freedom, a person that is seeking freedom in perpetuity till the end of my life, I need to really understand money, and thus I must really understand the government. And that's what got me into the political stuff in the first place. Is like, if I want to be the supremely everything I ever wanted, I need to know this. And the more and more I got in, I was like, wait, this affects everything. This is all things. And it's just mind-blowing. The deeper you go, the more you realize how significant it is on your life, your ability to be free, and like just so many other things. And then after you get past all of that stuff, you kind of get that kind of like call to like heroism. Like, what could I do? How could I give back that would be heroic as it relates to this? And then you're like, you see someone like Donald Trump, or maybe you don't, but you're like, this guy is like, like by all objective measures, a public servant. This is a heroic act. Take machine gun shots of inflammatory remarks about you and your family for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And so it's like, when I see him, I'm like, this is a heroic act that this guy is doing this, and deserving of tremendous respect. And it lit me up in a lot of ways where it's like, there's so many ways that you can choose to give back in life. You can help out a friend. You can volunteer at the soup kitchen. You can pick up a piece of trash on the beach when you leave the beach. There's so many things. But to me, like, the ultimate heroism is like macro heroism. And what he's doing is like literally like heroic globally. Maybe heroic through humanity. Maybe heroism that even transcends his time on Earth. And to me, that's like maximum legend. That's like the pinnacle of giving back. And that's why he impresses me so much. And this whole thing blows my mind.
What would you say to somebody who would totally, based on emotion, argue with you right now? Because I just saw somebody at the bottom. Yes, I am reading the comments. Somebody just said, but he golfed during a pandemic.
Yeah, so what? He's a human being. He's not responsible for working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The guy already works like a dog. And to think that he shouldn't be able to be a human is ridiculous. You have to remember, this guy is under a lens pretty much 24 hours a day.
Honestly, if you were going to find anything bad about Trump, I feel like it would have happened already. Like, they have pretty much like bent him over and turned him inside out, and like he doesn't even drink. You know what I mean? Like you just like some of the things that they come up with. It's like, how, when you've been doing nothing but keeping him under a lens and, you know, doing this to him and his family for so long, how are you just like finding out something like 4 years later? And it's got to be like that Atlantic article, you know, the Atlantic bogus article and stuff like that. It's like, if people aren't kind of seeing at this point that for the last 4 years since he's been in office, the media and, you know, like the left or whatever you want to say, have just been trying to find like everything that they have tried to do to expose him has not worked. Like it's fallen very flat, yet they keep trying. So I hope that people just kind of, because I guess more lockdowns are coming. I mean, not you, you're in Florida. Yeah. But other places, you know what I mean? Just take the time to really look and see, like, why is this stuff happening? And, you know, if you are just someone who's just like, I just want to be on a team, and just research, just learn for yourself. Like, because my whole family, like, they're Canadian liberal. When I try to tell things to them, sometimes it's like it doesn't get through, and that's, you know, that's the way they feel. They've been liberal their whole life, so it's like whatever. So my mom actually said to me, she's like, I wish you didn't get into American politics. And I'm like, but I'm glad I did. Like, I'd rather be smarter and know more than not know. And like, especially in 2020, because it's like every day there's something new. You have to find out where this shit's coming from. You have to look stuff up and be like, what's going on? Where is this coming from? Why is this like this? Just educate yourself.
It's more needed now than I would say ever before, because it's affecting you like day to day, and not only in small ways but in huge ways. But I think that like I would consider you to be like, you're entrepreneurial. Like, you know that you are responsible for all of your success and all of your failures, and that you got to eat whatever you can get, and you have to eat any failure that you might have. So that mindset, that self-reliance mindset, I believe is in a lot of ways uncommon. And I think that people that understand that, like, I need to take control of my actions, the things that I think about, the things that I do, where my life is going, where my money is going to come from, how I'm going to protect myself. People that think that way ultimately, in a lot of cases, I think, end up here. Like, hey, I got to do my own research, because you should be doing your own research about everything, not just political stuff, anything and everything. Like one of the things that blows my mind is, like, if you look at a box of cereal, it'll be like, lowers your cholesterol on this cereal, and it's like, this is garbage. This is bad. So
if you can't even pronounce the ingredients, you probably shouldn't be eating them.
Right. So this is something that you're like, not only are you using your hard-earned money to purchase, but then you're ingesting, and it's affecting your life. Like, to think that people aren't critical about, quite frankly, every piece of information that comes across their brain, I think is concerning. And I think that, thankfully, well, like I mentioned on my video on Sunday, is like, this, I believe, in a lot of ways, is the universe kind of correcting itself. And like, this awareness that you have this year is like, like, welcome to the team, you know, like had they not overstepped their freaking boundaries and had it not gotten so nuts, we might not have got you for a few more years.
Yeah.
Maybe never at all. So I think that that's the thing is like, it's as bad as it is. It's causing a lot of people to be awakened by it. And I think that ultimately,
And
like,
that's
it'll,
great because people want the old world back and it's like no you don't. Like you think you do because that was normal, but that was
yeah,
never working. That was never working. That's why so many things are coming to a head right now.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like we all need to like when I'm sure you've seen it's a spiritual war. I believe it is too. Like I mean, we all have to open up and we have to ascend higher than we were before. Like a lot of this really is good versus evil. If you really like dive deep into it, a lot of it really is it not even about Donald Trump and Joe Biden and who they are and who their
right,
family, not even about liberal conservative. I do believe a lot of it is about good and evil. And there's a lot of both in the world, but like the evil, I mean, like that's been that's kind of been running the world for a long time. We don't want that back. You don't want that back. We want something new. We want better. Um, so okay, so I don't know. I feel like this is gonna kick me off in an hour. I don't know.
no,
It
it
won't.
shouldn't. I don't think so.
Okay, I hope not. Because I like I don't know if you saw at the beginning. I just wanted to shoot this shit with you, but I did have one question that I wanted to
Yeah,
ask.
yeah.
I did see some people talking about being taught economics. Um, so the detriment of the $15 minimum wage.
Hmm.
I did not know a lot about it, but you did a video about it. You are very good at explaining it. So to anybody who's watching this live right now, can you who maybe thinks like, hey, this nobody wants to make $7, $8 an hour. That sucks. $15 an hour is great. But you have a lot of knowledge and explain very well why it's actually a very bad thing. So can you tell everybody why $15 minimum wage is not good?
Yeah. So let me just preface it by I'm not an economist. I do not have a college degree in finance. I'm just a person that tries to pay attention to these things and understand. I'm doing my own research. I could be wrong. I certainly could be wrong. And anybody could be wrong, but I just want to preface it with that. But generally speaking, my understanding of of why the minimum wage is a bad thing is that if you believe in free market capitalism, you believe that demand is what sets the wage, and you believe that what you are able to produce will dictate how much money that you are able to generate per hour. So when the government sets a minimum wage, what they're saying is that you are legally not able to pay somebody or accept an amount below this amount for this hour worth of wage. So what that means is that if I'm willing to work for $14 an hour, I'm willing to. I'm a free human being, and maybe there's a shop right next to my house. Let's say it's an auto mechanic, and I don't know anything about auto mechanics because I'm 16 years old. I haven't gone to school, but I want to pick up this job. I'm willing to work for $10 an hour, but the minimum wage is 15. I know that if I go in there and I make 10, you're going to teach me how to change a muffler. You're going to teach me about the car. I'm going to learn more, and over time, I'm going to gain the skills necessary for you to be able to afford to pay me $15 an hour. So here I am, a free American citizen, and this place is right next to my house, and I want to accept this amount. I don't have to drive to work. I don't have to travel to work. Now, the government is saying that it is illegal for me to accept an amount that I am willing to accept.
Which
So
you
I'm
should be able to because it's your choice.
right. It's your choice. I'm willing to accept it. And and the thing is that like, if you could get a job making more money, you would go get the job that makes more money. That's the free market. So it's just like, this one is right next to my house. I don't have to travel to it. I don't have to have a car. I don't have to go across town. I'm going to save an hour a day in travel. I'm going to save gas. I'm going to save all these things. Not to mention, I'm going to get on the job training of something that I'm really, really interested in. And
By the
sooner or
way,
later,
somebody is losing his mind right now. What's his name? M Jordo 13 is just I think he's malfunctioning. So just keep going. Listen up,
so
Jordo.
so the point is that you basically have the government saying that it is illegal for you to accept something that you are willing to accept. They are getting in the way of a private transaction, a private agreement between a business and a person. So that obstruction means that instead of me making $10 an hour and learning about that business, now I have no job at all. And now I have to hire somebody that already has that experience because I can't afford to pay them, because I can't afford somebody that doesn't have that experience. I can't afford to pay them $15 an hour. So as a result, there's no job at all, or I have to automate that job, or I have to find some other way to do it. So the government
what people have to understand from what I'm getting is that like a lot of employers, if they're going to have a lot of employees, they can't afford to pay everybody $15 an hour. Then their business is just going to go out of business. Then there's no job.
Correct.
So what is better, getting $10 an hour, especially if you're 17 or 18 and you're just starting out somewhere.
Exactly.
And this is like working your way up. Isn't it better to find a place where you can make something instead of just being like, well, we were supposed to give you all this money, but we can't afford it. So we decided to shut the whole place down. You can't get a job here. Go try to find one somewhere else. Why do people think that's a good option?
Well, that I'll try to answer that one. But
that argue against it, it's like, so is no job better then?
Right. Well, because they don't understand the real world application. This is one of my favorite quotes of all time. I don't know who said it. I don't even know. But somebody told me one time 95% of people are employed. 95% of people are employed, which means that they sign the back of a paycheck, not the front of a paycheck, and thus their understanding of this principle is very difficult to sell, because it's like, you just think like, yeah, you should be paid more an hour, because they don't understand what is necessary to pay that person that amount of money. They don't understand the other side of it. So I had a buddy message me. He told me that his father-in-law had a cabinet making shop or something in Massachusetts, and they would pay a guy to literally, all he did all day was sweep up the shop, sweep up the shavings, pick up the wood off the ground, whatever. And that guy was essentially like an apprentice. And over time, he would learn the ways of the wood. Hey, why don't you try this one? How about you hop in on this saw right now? The guy's getting paid $10 an hour, but he's in the mix. He's feeling the business. He's understanding what's happening. He's getting taught. Maybe they stay after work a few minutes to educate this guy, and then eventually he gets paid $15 an hour once he has the skills necessary to have that job. That job no longer exists. That guy doesn't get paid $10 an hour. Now the sweeping of the shop is split amongst 10 of the employees. And you have a guy that's getting paid $15 an hour or $20 an hour sweeping the shop floor, which is a waste of otherwise productive time that could make the business more money, that could help you pay less money for that cabinet that you're going to buy. You would pay less money for it. So the price of the cabinet goes up. The guy that wanted the job has no job. Nobody's learning anything. And meanwhile, that's less tax dollars being paid. It's a disaster all the way across the board. But again, most people sign the back of a paycheck, not the front, and they don't understand the real-world implications of what happens when you put a government middleman in between a private citizen making a private agreement contract with a business. And it can be simplified in that way alone.
That's just like saying, like, I'm okay with the government controlling my life.
Dictating the cost of labor. The government should not be dictating the cost of labor. Labor is a cost, just like wood is a cost, water is a cost, electricity is a cost, rent is a cost. Nobody dictates the cost of that. And anytime that the government dictates how the free market is supposed to flow, it creates a jam, and it ultimately everyone loses. So you know what happens when you don't have when there's a minimum wage that you can't pay someone under the minimum wage? Well, how are you going to work there? Now you're an unpaid intern. Now you're making zero. Now you're unpaid. I could have afforded to pay you $10 an hour, but it's illegal for me to do so. So the only way for you to be here and get this experience is for me to pay you nothing, which hurts you even more. So it's just, again, it's like if you wanted to work.
There's more people fighting for less jobs. So you're less likely to find a job because instead of 4 people going for the job, now there's 34 because there's less jobs now.
Yep. And like, people think that this is a good thing. Like they use fast food workers as an example. A fast food job is a low skill job that predominantly is taken by young people or people that don't have a lot of other applicable skills. A lot of those businesses have ways where you can grow in that business. You can be the manager of a McDonald's or a Burger King at a very young age by simply working your way up in that structure. And they have lots of ways to raise up in those systems. So the thing is that they think that by raising that $15 an hour minimum wage, that it's gonna help all those people not make a living wage. What's gonna happen is it's gonna no longer, the cost of labor is gonna be so expensive that you're gonna either have to raise the price of the hamburgers, or you're gonna have to automate to remove those employees entirely. So what's gonna happen is when you walk into a Taco Bell, you're gonna place an order on a computer, and then there's no human being with a job. And now the only person that has that job is gonna be a person that builds technology. And you know where that person's building that technology? China. Because it's
Right.
and you offshore the job that would otherwise be done by a person that can build it up in the United States, make more money, continue to learn and succeed, and instead it gets shipped off to China, and it's technology. And now technology will supplant the worker, and on top of all of that, the prices are still going to go up anyway. So it's extremely detrimental, and most people don't understand the depth of what it really means. They just think $15 an hour, that seems fine, not realizing that individual citizens, business owners, people who save capital to start and grow businesses, which are just people like you and me, that has to come out of their pocket. And where it ultimately comes out of is your pocket, the consumer, and everybody loses as a result of this.
And I think that everybody should think, like a robot taking your job. That's terrifying.
It's not terrifying. I don't think it's terrifying, because you can't fight innovation, and you shouldn't fight efficiency. But the problem is that this efficiency is being created this change is being artificially pressed by the government getting in between these two people. So we would get there eventually, and that would be great, but now they're forcing it upon us. So it would happen that way naturally anyways. And that person would now have another task. There would still be a $10 an hour task at McDonald's. It just wouldn't be that task. And they would move around, and the business would evolve in a variety of other ways. Maybe that person would be a person that walks around the dining room and talks to people and helps make sure that they have a good day. Maybe gets them a napkin. And then that could be the $10 an hour guy, and the computer could do the job. It doesn't mean that the job would disappear. It just means that it would go to a more productive use of time. So again, it's like, you either believe that the government and a small group of bureaucrats can better decide than you personally and the free market, or you don't. And limited government is better government all the time, all the way across the board, no matter what. It's always better. And that is a perfect example of why.
Does your family agree with you with a lot of your views?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the majority of them, yes. My mom is a little bit harder to convince than my dad is. My dad sees it, but again, here's the thing. This is what I've kind of realized about that generation is, like, my parents are not Googling to validate evidence. Like, if you're 67, 70, you're chilling, like, you're retired, you're going to the beach, like, it's not high in your priorities, So, like, my mom watches the news, and we know what happens when you watch the news. So she is looking at the world, at least as her news is concerned, through that particular lens, which is the harder mountain for me to climb. My dad, on the other hand, he's kind of seen the BS, and he can see it just by looking at it. And he knows it's fishy, but he doesn't know the depth of how fishy that it is. But they generally support it. My mom watches every one of my videos and every one of my live streams and every single thing that I post for years.
So funny. So funny. The one where, the video where you were talking about filling the seat.
Filling the what?
Filling the seat. Like when RBC passed.
Oh, yeah.
Or RBG, sorry. When she passed, your not your video about, you didn't do a video about her death, but just about, like, filling the seat and what that was going to do and stuff. That one was so funny. Guys, if you haven't checked out Bobby's social media, his Instagram page is at Take Naps. Where did Take Naps come from? I'm sure you've been asked this before, but where'd that come from?
Yeah, so basically the simple of it is, like, I've been investing in domain names for many years, and I buy domain names. So I'm like a student of words. Buying domain names is like buying .com and .net domain names. And I tend to gravitate towards domain names that are like action words, like do this, go there, be this. So I was looking for Instagram handles, and I was just like, what's a luxurious thing that I could do? Like, naps, like, I love naps. So it was like, I love naps, I enjoy naps. And then I just found Take Naps was open, and I was like, that's luxurious. Taking naps is a luxurious thing. So I just went with it.
Yeah, you guys should definitely check out his page and your merch. So what I think is really cool is how interactive you are with it, because your fan base just kind of went like straight up.
Yeah.
Lots of sharing of your videos. Your followers skyrocketed, and then you started making merch
Yeah.
for all of your catchphrases, and they're
Yeah.
hilarious. So where do you think? So I know that everybody who was like, full steam ahead up into the election, they were like, we're going to take a break after the election, and it's like, well, it's 3 weeks after the election, and no one's taken a break yet. So you're never going to be even okay. So say Trump gets another 4 years, right? Which I think will happen. People, I'm just saying that because of the evidence that is coming out. Okay.
Certainly hope so.
Yes. So you're not. It's not like it's just going to stop. Like if Trump gets inaugurated in January, the Democrats are just going to be like, oh, okay, well, let's back off a little bit now. You're always going to have content. So will you just continue with what you're doing and just keep building the base?
Yep. Yes. So my background in web development and building websites taught me a lot, and I think that it's honestly has been a significant element of the success of this, at least thus far, especially the timing and other things. But one thing that I always realized when I was building websites is that there's really no endless strip of content for really anything other than like news. News is kind of this one very special thing where it's like it happens in real time, it's hot in everyone's mind, and also you just have to give an opinion. You don't have to necessarily be like, here's exactly what occurred. You can kind of just react to it. So news inherently is like an endless drip, endless flow type of content. Whereas if it was like food, it's like you can only make a hamburger so many times. You're constantly like recycling the same thing. Whereas news just like falls out of the sky. So I realized that this could have legs long term because there will always be crazy news. There will always be crazy economic happenings, and there will most certainly always be political happenings. And then aside from all of that, like if Joe Basement gets in there, like what is going to be going on is going to be absolutely insane. And there's going to be things that are going to be not only laughable but sad every day. And that's an endless trip. If Trump gets back in, the left reaction and the meltdown is going to be absolutely insane. So no matter what, it's like there's an audience,
Again.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to tell everybody all your socials so they know where to follow you?
Sure. So on Instagram at Take Naps, on Facebook Bobby Sausalito, on YouTube Bobby Sausalito, and I'm also on Parlor at Take Naps, and I'm on Twitter at Bobby Sausalito as well. And then the merch store where there's a lot of good jokes and catchphrases is BobbySauce.com.
And you have a ton of merch. Like you do like 4-hour-long lives where people are just like, hey, I want this in a shirt, and you will just make things specifically for people. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's the way that the items are printed. Like I can make individual one-off items, write your name on it, like anything, and people just want different catchphrases on different items. So there's probably over 450 SKUs in the store. Different items from sweatshirts to dresses to I just put pajamas in there the other day.
Yeah.
And people wanted it to say sleigh tree it, like sleigh, like a Christmas sleigh.
I saw that. Yep.
The thing that's been different about this business from every other business I've gone into is that like I'm super in tune to the feedback and I'm reacting based on the feedback, and the people have created such amazing things for me that it's like no business I've ever had. I've always been like, I know what it is, I know this is how I gotta do it. And in this time I'm like extremely receptive to suggestions, and it's been working really well.
So do you find that when you do, this is Trooper, by the way, do you find that when you do your videos, because you're full of like puns and nicknames and all the things, so do you find that those kind of just fall out of your mouth as you're like in the energy of the video, kind of like cutting a promo where it's like stuff just falls out of your mouth that you didn't like pre-plan, I guess I could say?
The vast majority of them, at least the very good ones, are I just say them just off the top of my head. Some of them require a little bit more thought, like LL and Cool J for Lori Lightfoot. That was one that I thought about for like a couple of hours to try to figure out how could I say that she sucks and like play off of her name. That one took a little bit of time.
Andrew Cuomo, the dehydrated owl, I wanted to ask you that one.
Oh God, I just thought he looked like an owl. Like I just thought he had an owlish look, and like, he's old. He's an older guy. He's a little bit wrinkly, and I'm like, this dude looks like a dehydrated owl. I don't know. It just seemed like it's like if I was like ripping with my buddies, like that would have been what I would have said. And like the thing is like when I was in high school, I played football, and like everybody on the football team, it's like we were constantly just bullshitting with each other, like making up nicknames for each other. One of our friends had a rounded nose, and we called him the toucan, and like we just had so many ways of like ripping on each other, but like we love each other as well. I think it's like a northeastern United States kind of attitude, like a "fuck you, I love you" kind of attitude, like New York attitude. So we were always ripping on each other. So like nicknames are, in a lot of ways, like just a way to just get a rise out of you. So I don't think of these nicknames in like a hateful way. It's just like I'm jabbing at them to just make light of, whatever is obvious.
You're just making light of the insanity, which is kind of what you have to do, I think, to stay sane through 2020 and probably into the beginning of 2021. I do feel like 2021 is going to be a much better year. I think a lot of the craziness will tone down. I think there will be attempts to reignite craziness, but I think I think the things will just, once all this election stuff is over, things are just going to go a certain way after that, and I just don't feel like it's going to be the same as how it's been this year, and nobody should really want that anyway.
I certainly appreciate the optimism, and I would like to think about it the same way as well. I think that everybody's bullshit meter is a little bit more sensitive now, which I think again like is a very good thing. And I think that the fact that they've kind of overstepped a little bit, I think that like hopefully people will be able to identify bullshit in real time a little bit better, and I think that that's good for everybody. So could this year be an awakening and then a radical change? Perhaps. But will it get any less crazy? I don't know. It really depends. And I would say that there's an argument to suggest that in a lot of ways, maybe it won't. But I do think that like, we can't go like this forever. So I do like the optimism. And I think that, the truth will come out, and like we can't be stuck in this limbo state forever, and like the corona clap will go away, and like we will be back to real life. But like I want to go to a concert so fucking bad, it's like blowing my mind, and it's just not.
I'm the type of person too, like if I breathe in a mask 5 times, I'm like this close to a panic attack. I just can't. Like, I just can't do it. I mean, I do it. And thankfully yours, for some reason, the way they fit. So I actually had like nose surgery in August. Like nobody knew that, but I had nose surgery in August. So like it still even hurts just to have it like over the nose. I couldn't breathe through my nose properly. So I'm like holding the fingers through the loops, like just trying to breathe. Like I would like the diabetes to end at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we have to be able to go into a store and not wear a freaking mask, you know what I mean? Like it has to happen at some point. And concerts too, like live sport, even for me, you know what I mean? Like even the restrictions that we have to go through just to go film in front of nobody, because people are coming in from all over the States, and a lot of people that are on our roster, a couple people live in Australia, a couple people live in Ireland, in the UK, and it's like they can't even come here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And thankfully we're taken care of. Like we're so blessed to still be taken care of by Ring of Honor through this whole time. But it is just like, we just want to, everyone's sick of it now. Like even people who, just have been so supportive of everything that goes on and want to be told how to live their life. At some point you got to be like just kind of exhausted by it. I mean, I would think.
When you think about how much germs we exchanged with each other, like, I don't know, forever. It's like, this is like unsustainable in a lot of ways. Like I've been to concerts with 150,000 people at them. And I've been in a crowd where there was probably 100 people within 20 feet of me in any direction, packed in. And like the people up in the front that are like on the rails at the front of a concert. So it's like, we're all trading. So it's just like, you
have to have germs to fight germs. If you don't have the bacteria, like you have to be able to fight that off, and you can't have that off by having no immune system. Like you have to have that to be able to combat it. If you don't, then you're more prone to get sick.
Yeah, I think there's a case. Like I'm not a medical professional, but I think that there's definitely a case for that, for sure. And I would bet there's a lot of evidence that would validate that argument. And that's the thing that's been so sad about all this, is like, it's like you can do as much research as you want, but like you're not a doctor, and like I'm not going to be a doctor. And even a doctor, may not be an infectious disease doctor. So it just comes back to where it's like somebody has to tell me what the truth is. And it's a very bad position that we could be that we're all in. And like it's just a further reminder of like when we went to middle school and high school and elementary school, why were they not teaching us about finances? Why were they not teaching us about taxes? Why were they not teaching us about how to get a credit card, how to build credit, how to save money? Why was that not taught? Why was health class when I was in high school? Why was it the stupidest class that we had? Why would they just like walk around the gym a couple laps? Why was health class something so crucial? Why was it that? The reason that it was that is because the education system is controlled by the government, and the government gets in the way of independent schools like charter schools being able to having to fight for your dollars to educate people. If there was
they're not even really teaching you a lot of real world skills. Like once I started adding letters into math, I was like, fail. like one of my, like for me, like I'm not a scientist, I'm not like, you know, anything that would use that, but like why do I need to know what bracket 3y bracket minus 5x equals? Like I'm literally never, but that's like a whole semester of like grade 9 math. Like what is that? That's not going to do anything for me. And honestly, like my son, he was in pre-K last year. Well, he went from August until March when everybody had to get out of school, but we just decided not to even have him go this year because I'm like, because so we're in Missouri, and I think the governor of St. Louis or Missouri, but I think his name is Mike Parsons. He right before the kids started school again, he went on a radio show, and he basically guaranteed he basically guaranteed every parent, like when your kid goes back to school, they will get COVID. Your kid. Like and it will happen to every single kid. And when your kid does get sick, do not send them to the hospital. Just stay at home. So that to me, just being the person who like questions everything, I'm like, why he's so sure everybody's gonna get sick? Like, what are you gonna do? They're gonna go spray the schools down with it or something? Like, I don't know. I just like for me, and I just was like, and my son's not gonna wear a mask. He's 4.
Yeah.
He'll wear it for 20 seconds when we have to walk onto a plane. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't, but he's not, he really liked his first year of preschool. I didn't want to send him back this year and have it be some negative experience where all the teachers are doing for 3 hours is policing a bunch of 4-year-olds about putting their masks on because they're going to take them off and then just becomes a negative experience. Plus half the shit's taken out of the classroom. Oh, all the toys where all the kids have all their hands all over them. Well, we can't, you know, keep tabs on sanitizing that. So like the classrooms are half empty for what he would be doing anyway. So I'm like, what's even the point? Like, I just got a bunch of stuff to teach him at home.
Yep.
You know, he goes swimming, he goes to gymnastics, we go to the park, he's got a neighbor friend here that he plays with. We help him with reading, I help him a lot with writing. He knows shapes, he's extremely smart. So I'm like, this being his second year of pre, I'm just glad he's so young. Like, I mean, God bless the parents who have 8, 9, 10-year teenagers, high school, and they're trying to homeschool their kids. Like, through the frustration and the insanity, like I couldn't even imagine. I'm like, thank you God, my child's only 4. Like, so we just kept him out at least until the end of the year and just see what happens.
It's sad. It's positive because you're getting to control and bring him into things that he may not have gotten there. But the sad part is that they lose the social component, or at least the predominantly social component, which is so detrimental. Not to mention the fact that like the survival rate statistically for them is so high. And it's just like, it's tragic. It's unfortunate. And
well, if you look at the numbers, period, it's like,
yeah. No, I know.
Even on the CDC website, this was actually a thing that I saw too when that 6% thing came out. People didn't even want to believe that, and I never understood that. Why do you want to believe that something is so bad if there's a possibility that it's really not that bad?
Control to maintain control, and it seems like conspiratorial. Like, why would they want to do that? But it's like, I don't see any other answer. And like, you see people like Gavin Newsom and like the mayor of New Jersey, like getting caught. Like, these people are hypocrites. So it's just like the thing that you can't imagine them being like, that's like what they are. So it's just like, I don't know. I wish I understood with further depth why they're doing this, but it seems that it's getting to a point now where it's like, all right, like the jig's kind of up a little bit, and like there has to be a change because we can't. I just don't understand how we could sustain this forever, and to think that there's never going to be baseball games again and concerts and all these things, or for years, or the foreseeable future, or whatever.
Have those? How do you not have those?
I don't know. The damage that's being done is so much further than what's being done by this by this virus, whatever. There's so much other damage that's happening that's not measured in the same way that these deaths and cases are, and it's tragic what's going on in
Like
the lack of
like depression and suicide,
depression, suicide, substance abuse, domestic abuse, divorces. I mean, the list is endless. Poverty, losing businesses, losing all of your investments. I mean, just the uncertainty, the people living in a perpetual state of fear, the stress. There's so many things that are happening negatively that are not measured. That it's tragic. And like in a Joey basement America, it's unfortunate that like that type of messaging is out of the equation. It's be very afraid. Only we know how to fix it.
right.
You have to listen to us. It's obey, obey, obey. And like that's the great thing about Trump is like he didn't buy into that shit. And the sad part about it all is like all of their enforcement probably has more of a negative effect than it would if they didn't do it that way. And they're like, follow the science, follow the science. Well, the science has changed. The science is unproven in lots of ways. And like there's a real significant case for why doing it other ways might be better. And unfortunately, if you have somebody like Joe Biden, this dude is not of the cognitive ability to even figure out whether or not something is one way or another. He's gonna sway based on the way that the wind blows. And Joe Biden is not going to be the president. It would be Krusty. Krusty would be the president.
Oh.
Krusty would be running the show, and it would be her and all of her super liberal overlords that put her into that power to begin with. It would be Chuck Schumer. It would be Pelosi, for Christ's sake. And that's the people that are going to be running the operation.
That actually terrifies me.
Yep. And she was
Pelosi.
Chuck and Pelosi were in a meeting with Krusty in the basement just the other day, sitting at this huge table, and literally Joe's like Mikasa Suka, like he's not even there. He's a figure. He is a figure. He's not going to be doing anything. He's going to be napping and eating ice cream and showing up for a speech here and there. But this cat is not ever, could never work as hard and as much as Trump did by any objective measure. I don't care who you are. You can just look. Like Donald Trump is working literally like almost around the clock. This dude's tweeting at 6 a.m. He's tweeting at midnight about this stuff.
Look at how many. He was doing 5 rallies a day before going up to the election. I'm like, how's that even possible?
Because he's an animal, and he's like Mr. Spectacular. He was like, you gotta read Trump's book. He's like, it all makes sense. You'll have this newfound respect for him. So I bought the audiobook. I started listening last night, and it's like this cat is driven in a way that very few people are driven. And it's not about money, and it's not about ego, and it's not about prestige. It's like the art of making shit happen. That lights this dude up. And that's the thing is like this dude wants to make deals. The first sentence of the book is like, all I want to do is just make deals. It just gets my rocks off making deals. This dude is now making like the pinnacle of all deals in and out all day long.
The peace deals.
All of it. All of it. It's just like to think that we're going to lose that resource, that person fighting on our behalf for Biden is tragic. It's like we don't even understand the severity of what we're losing, not only by the policies alone, but just by the pure integrity of the man to stand up to the bullshit, to tell us how it is, and aside from all that, to have just relentless work ethic. This is a person that had to work in the free market, that had to make their own. If you want to say, oh, you got $1 million, you got $10 million, I don't care if you got $100 million when he was a kid. This person maintained it, built an international global brand, did all these things that made him astronomically more successful, and he didn't do that from his dad. And if you want to think that he did, fine. But this guy works hard. It doesn't matter who you are. I don't care who you are.
You can't get mad at somebody for being born into the life they were born into. You know
exactly.
What I mean? A lot of people were born into rich families. Like
that's right. And
you're a baby. You were born into it. Like you don't have to hate. And just hey, David, sweetheart, you can leave. I ain't making you be in this chat room, but the funny thing is you're just sitting here complaining, but you've been on here for an hour and 20 minutes, sweetheart. So
I know.
you can go if you want. You're not needed. But you know,
You're
just
not an
like
essential attendee.
right. So just for the people, like even people who haven't questioned anything this year and just been like, I'm just gonna just do what I'm told and go with the flow and just kind of, you know, be under the radar, don't want any issues. When you see somebody like Gavin Newsom and his insane, illogical rules, and then that he is opposing on everybody, and then you see him eating in a restaurant like after hours, nobody's wearing masks, you know, nobody's social distanced. How do you not question at that point? How do you not question that? Or like Pelosi, who went into that hair salon, and then I'm sorry, but that she had the balls to say she was set up and then ask for an apology. I was like, you gotta be kidding. Who do you think is buying that? Seriously. But like, even if you're just trying to just be cool and under the radar, some like stuff like that has got to make you go, wait a minute.
Right.
This doesn't add up. This does not make sense. And that's got to make you want to go research and like look things up and kind of figure it out, because it doesn't make sense. Like how does okay, so my go-to is the restaurant thing. Like, I'm sorry, the fucking masks with the restaurant thing is ridiculous. So COVID will get me if I sit in the lobby of the restaurant, and it'll get me when I walk to the table. So you got to wear a mask. But once you sit down, you can take your mask off and you're okay. Like you're in this giant COVID-free magical bubble. But then if you got to get up and go to the bathroom, you better wear your mask to the bathroom. But then when you come back to the table, you can take it off again to eat and whatever. And it's like, that makes no sense. Like,
right.
That makes no sense at all. Like, oh, I got to tell you a story. Oh my gosh. So I had to go do an appearance in Philly in October, and they're sitting across from me in the aisle was this dude who was like hardcore all about it. He had, you know, masks. Well, we all have masks on, but he had black gloves on, like black, you know,
I love it. Yeah.
Right. So he's touching everything. And, you know, wiping his head like this. But then you get your snack, right? So you can take your mask off to eat your snack. So you can't sit there without your mask on, but you can sit there and eat without your mask on. That's okay. Completely logical. So he is eating his snack with the gloves, like fingers in the like,
yeah,
just,
exactly.
like getting it like down there, like almost like he's pushing it down as his fingers were. And I'm just sitting there like, watching this guy. Then he gets up and he goes to the bathroom with his gloves on, and then he comes back out with the same gloves on, and he goes back to his snack.
Yeah, that's right.
And then he's holding his drink, and then he's holding his drink like this too. And I'm like, and then he's like, and I'm like, those are the same. Like, germs don't just disappear when they're on a glove. Like, you have to understand that. Like, if you go to the store, like, I don't think people get like how gloves work. If you go to the store and you, like, you know, Joe Biden, you put your mask down to sneeze or cough, and you do it on your gloved hand,
right?
And then you touch a box of cereal and you read the ingredients that you can't pronounce, and then you're like, I don't want this cereal, and you put it back, and then somebody else comes down the aisle and they grab the cereal. There's germs on the cereal box now and your gloves, because there's germs on your gloves, and now other people are still like, I always think like we would all have to be in biohazard suits. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, because nothing
right.
Masks aren't being used properly, gloves aren't being used properly, all the things aren't being used properly.
Right.
So, and it's like, once again, with the restaurant, why do you have to wear masks to walk to the table, but once you sit at the table you can take it off? Like, I understand that you have to eat, but if the point is to keep yourself safe while you're walking to the table, how are you safe without your mask on at the table, but you're not down the hall when you're walking to the table? Like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Because it's like, no, but that's the thing. It's just that's how the government works. They just handpick what needs to be addressed and what doesn't, and it's not based on science, and it's garbage. I mean, I was at a restaurant and this guy was wearing the gloves, and he was wearing the gloves while he served the food, and then went and grabbed the door handle to leave or to go outside and serve food, and then comes back in, and it's like, that glove touched the door handle. That's arguably the worst thing in the entire building. So it's just like, you'd be better off not wearing gloves. You'd be better
Yeah.
off with no gloves at all. And I was on a live stream a couple days ago with there was two nurses on the live stream, and they said that that those gloves start deteriorating like the
Sure.
minute they get on your skin, and it's actually trapping. It's more likely to trap germs than if you just used your hand. So
Just
it's like,
a mask.
right. So the whole thing is just like, it's one of those things where it's like I wish I knew more about science and health, that I could really talk about it with some level of uh, with backing. But unfortunately, I can't, and therein lies the problem: is that the vast majority of people are not health professionals, and the vast majority of people are not doctors or ones that know about this. So it's hard for that information to get out and the truth to get out. And meanwhile, we're all being told by our gods that this is what we have to do, and they're handpicking things that they think need to be one way or not, and it's having probably a negative effect, far more of a negative effect than if it was just actually dealt with the way that some other countries are dealing with it.
Because
And
now people are getting confused. When do I wear it here? Do I do the and now you got people at the like I had to drop my laptop off at Best Buy last week, and the guy like down over here, he couldn't hear me. So I pulled down, I was wearing this I was wearing,
oh,
helping, and I pulled it down and I was like, "Excuse me, sir." And he's like, "I'll be with you in just 1 minute. Can you pull your mask back up?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but you couldn't hear me, so I'm just trying to talk fixed you could hear." You know what I mean? Like just and I'm like, listen, guys, everybody has their, and this is for everybody right here, everybody has their own opinion on masks and gloves and COVID. Um, but everybody can have their own opinion. Like I see so many like people who are anti-maskers get just trampled on by people who do, believe in it and whatever. And it's like, don't be a mask Nazi. Don't be a mask Nazi. Nobody likes a mask Nazi. You know what I mean? If you want to do your thing and just do, but you're like, you cannot have, and it's like, you can't even have a wrestling locker room agree on one thing. You can't have an entire world all agree on one thing. Like everybody's going to have their own opinion. But my advice to everybody is just question everything. Like there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? Like
yes,
if anything, you're just going to learn more, and you're going to have, like, that's what we're always taught in wrestling, right? Like, don't just go with what one person tells you, like, hey, I think this would be a good gimmick for you. This is how I think you should talk. This is how I think you should act. This is how I think you should wrestle. Because if you do that, then, you got Shawn Michaels telling you that, but then Arn Anderson's going to come over here and he's going to tell you, well, I don't think you should do that. And they called it flavors of ice cream. Take a little bit of ice cream from here, a little bit of ice cream over here, and kind of like make it your own. And one thing I will definitely teach my son is not to be a follower of a pack, and it is okay to not agree with everybody, and it is okay if people don't like you. Do not fall in line. Do you know what I mean? Like, just
love that.
if you got to be the outsider to be true to you, that is so much better,
Mm-hmm.
because you can put your head on your pillow at night and you did good, and you're true to yourself, and that is way more important than like I'm on a team, I'm doing good. Like, I don't know, my
Right.
opinion.
No, independent thinking is of extremely high value. Another quote that I love is like, if you want to be like the 1%, you have to ignore the 99%. And that's the thing, is like, you have to be an independent thinker about information, about how you approach your life, about being able to bounce people's dissent off of you and be like, nope, I'm confident that I'm going to figure it out for myself. And you can absorb all of that information, and that's helpful. But no, you have to be able to pave your own way. And those people are the least likely to be persuaded by whatever the flavor of the week is about what you are supposed to do or you have to do. You have to go to college. You have to do this. You can't do that. Independent thinking is probably the most crucial trait. So that's a great thing to pass on for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, like, I have a 20-year career, and I did that just because I followed my dreams and did what I loved. It wasn't because of what I learned in school or what I did in college.
Right. Because you took personal responsibility and you hustled for it and you worked your ass off and
Yeah,
you had an entrepreneurial mindset and you didn't let anybody's dissent get in the way of you actualizing your personal legend. And that's why you have success. And you passing that on is no coincidence. You
and
saying
wrestling,
like,
all of it too. There's always going to be. I mean, like, every day, especially a female in wrestling, you're too fat, you're too skinny, you suck, you're good, you're too good, you look like a man, you just all the things. You know what I mean? You have to have a thick skin,
yeah,
especially to be in this business. You know what I mean? So I think that's why I've become the kind of person where I'm like, you can't tell me what to do, and I'm gonna think for myself. And I because I just know that, because I'm a very judgeable book cover. You know what I mean? Like, so, and when Velvet and I were doing The Beautiful People, we actually liked that because we realized, like, you know, we were just like Peggy Bundy hair, 8 pounds of makeup, glitter, tits to the moon, little outfits, you know what I mean? Like, people could very easily look at us and be like, they look like Barbies, they can't wrestle. Like, we can't take them serious. But the greatest thing is to get in the ring and prove people wrong.
Right.
You know, and I think that that's so rewarding, you know, just to have people think this way of you and then be like, okay, show you.
Right. Exactly. No, it's a lesson. It's a lesson being played out like in real life. And I'm sure when you're walking down the street, you're subjected to that same thought process where it's like you don't even understand what I've done. You don't even understand what I'm capable of and that's the great thing about it is like you are in control of changing whatever, because if you just go and work hard for it, you can get whatever you want. Like, what a beautiful thing. It doesn't matter.
That's what kids need to be taught today, not just get mad and expect a handout. You are doing your child, you're doing a disservice.
Yep.
You're doing a disservice.
That's the thing.
My opinion.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing is like radical self-reliance is not part of the playbook on the left. And it's like we need relief. We need $15 an hour. We need free healthcare. We need free college. We need all this shit. And then that need is actually making it worse for the very people that think that they need. And if you put your hand out for one thing, you're going to put your hand out for another thing. And it's a slippery slope that ultimately gets you to complete reliance on the structure. And again, not independent thinking, not being responsible for your own actions, not being responsible for what you do. And quite frankly, like as it relates to the stuff like the guys, like the guy that got shot when he went to reach for that knife. I forget what his name was. Jacob Blake. It's like, this dude was grabbing a knife. Like, you're getting in a fight with the police. Like, personal responsibility. It's not about race, dude. So it's just, again, like, they find a way of blaming everyone but themselves.
It's so annoying how everything is just immediately racist, race. And it's like, that is... Right. Once again, going back to the children these days, that is doing kids a disservice. Kids aren't born racist. Kids aren't born knowing there's a difference between skin color. Kids aren't born hating. That's taught. So if you're a parent or if you have kids around you at all or you're a role model by any means, do not teach that shit. You are only harming children. They don't know that. They learn it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not by the way.
No, it's not. And also to be taught that your reaction to something that you disagree with should be in a lot of ways like violent or uprising or burn everything at all costs because you don't get your way. It's very dangerous. And the thing is that exactly what they say that they aren't is exactly what they are. And it's so funny because like that is the thing that's so hard for me to like talk to people about that are on that side of belief, is that like if they say that they're about peace, love, and unity, and you're like, but you're not though, and they're like, no, but we've said that we are, so you must be wrong because we're saying it, which means nothing. And if you say that you support education and you tell everyone that you support education and the teachers deserve more money, what they don't even realize is that if the government got the hell out of the way, teachers would make more money and the education would be better, and the future of all these people, all these disenfranchised children, would be far brighter if the fucking government was not in the way.
We should want the teachers to make more money because then they're going to be, happier at work and they're going to want to teach our kids better. Whereas if they're making, $24,000 a year and, they're bitter and angry or whatever, like you see now, like so many kids, like their teachers are preaching, race on them and why you shouldn't be this way or you should go against your family and what they believe in. It's like, that's all personal opinion. That is not teaching a kid, like, from a book what you're supposed to teach them. I do think teachers should be paid more because they're kind of like grooming and learning our children for the future.
They should be paid more if the market dictates that they should be paid more. They shouldn't be paid more by government decree. It shouldn't be the teachers deserve more. Look, I respect teachers as much as anything else, but you got to understand, this is a job that is not in session a full year round. So an annual salary for a job that is not in session in the summer, that has lots of vacations, that has all of these days or whatever, you have to take that into consideration when you say the salary. No one is stopping or preventing those people from having other positions. On top of that, lots of teachers, at least the vast majority of teachers, ones that are low paid, are younger people. You could be a 25-year-old teacher. You could be a 27-year-old teacher. And those people are still learning how to be better. Again, the free market, you have to believe in through and through, top to bottom, all the way through. It can't be, well, what about this? It's free market or it's not. And you have to know that if the government was to get out of the way in the places like education, teachers would be paid more money. The classes would be smaller. They would have a better experience. And all of that stuff would hash itself out if there was not a government middleman dictating who gets money and who doesn't, what gets paid what and what doesn't, and how the system has to work. And people, here's a newsflash. Not everybody should go to college. Not everybody should take advanced biology. You should be able to lean into the things that you naturally like. For me to take shop class in high school when I knew that I didn't want anything to do with shop was not helpful. I could pick, oh, I'm going to do home ec. I'm more interested in cooking. Great. I had the ability to choose that. I gravitated to what made sense for me. To think that I need to take advanced chemistry, which is a class that I failed in and will never need to use for the rest of my life, I would have done much better learning about finances, about the economy, about health, about any other variety of things. So trade schools, allowing people to make decisions for themselves, not treating every single student as exactly the same person, exactly the same thing, is something that would happen if the free market operated in the education system how it is intended to. But because it's a government structure, top down, everything is forced, everyone's the same, we have to be equitable, whatever, it causes more problems. If your school had to fight for your dollars to send your kid to it, you would be finding the best school that fit for him. They would be fighting you on price. They would be fighting you on specials. Look how small the classes are. Look how much he's going to look. And they would be fighting for your dollars. Now it's just like, you're in this district, he goes here, that's it.
Yeah.
You're beat. So again, it's the government creating an artificial structure that ultimately hurts the people at the bottom the most, but hurts everybody. And people like Donald Trump, as much as everyone hates this cat, supported charter schools, supported independent education, supported, at least in a little bit of a way, reducing the influence of the federal government on education. There's nothing in the Constitution that says anything about us getting involved in education. And that is just, again, smaller government is better. We're in $27 trillion of debt. The government screws up everything that it touches in the vast majority of cases, especially things that are not in the Constitution. Our education system would be better. The future of the nation would be better if there was not a government middleman. And the schools and all of these things could hash themselves out in the free market. It would be a better world, and it would be a better future. But if you believe in government top-down, the bureaucrats are better at dictating what should happen than me, then you're on Team Joey Basement.
So there's a guy here, he's just saying Trump is working for himself, he golfing. So, this has been going on for an hour and 40 minutes right now of just a lot of truths, a lot of facts, a lot of conversation. What do you say to somebody like this guy who's like, but all he does is golf? It's like, well, you've been on this chat. Are you not listening or hearing anything? That's what I don't get. How do you not listen or hear anything? You still must sit there and be like, he golfs.
I feel bad. I feel bad for them because, again, like, this is our brother or sister, right? And as human beings, we want this person to know the truth, because all of us being better and more aware of this is better for humanity as a whole. That person could have children. They could have nieces or nephews, or they could be working a job and talking about this to other people. We want other people to be educated. So I feel bad that they're not taking the time to use this completely free distribution of what is validated thought and free thought, and using that to help themselves get smarter and better. And if instead of weighing in on the chat about some shit that they maybe don't know, if they would only just listen, maybe take a couple of notes, research it independently, and see if I'm talking shit, see if you and I are bullshitting right here, they would learn, they would be better.
Everybody should want to research. Like, this has been the wackiest year of my existence, like, by far. You should want to research and see why things are as they are, and see why things don't add up, and see why governors are imposing rules on people but not following them themselves. Like, you should just, I don't know, just what I think, you should want to research that. That's me. That's what I started doing. I've learned so much over the last like 8-9 months. It's like, holy crap. And I'm so glad to know what I know. You should want to research, people. Don't just be the person who's like, I sat in on an hour and a half conversation, but darn it, he golfs.
Right. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's, not to make an abstract connection, but it's kind of like somebody that has like a substance abuse problem. It's like no one can make them kick that problem, or an alcohol problem. Like no one can make them or even suggest to them successfully. If they don't want it internally, it's extremely difficult to help somebody out of that. Like you are the only one that can change it. People can suggest and guide you there as best they can, but ultimately, if you don't want to do it, you're not doing it. And it's like, what I would just try to encourage this person is to just know that, like, all of your dreams are on the other side of understanding. All of the things that you could ever want, all of the prosperity that you could ever have in your life, in health, in relationships, in wealth, and all things is on the other side of purely understanding all of the other connecting dots that will ultimately bring you back to the whole piece. And that you thinking that Trump is only golfing is just an indicator that you're not paying attention to this segment of it. You're paying attention.
Sorry, if he's working 20 hours a day for 4 years straight, he can go golfing 4 times a year. Like, it's okay.
Right. And again, like, this is a human being. Like, he can play golf, and every single time that he goes golfing, you better believe that we hear about it. So it's just like, nobody works as much as this dude probably works. I mean, this guy's working all of the time, 7 days a week. So he's playing golf right now. Okay. While this legal situation gets sorted out, fine. But like, again, every president has played golf. Back to FDR. I mean, presidents have been playing golf since the beginning, because in a lot of ways, which a lot of people don't even know because they don't have depth of understanding, is that a president plays golf in a lot of times to show calm and to exhibit calm and to lead by showing you that it's all not going to hell. And I forget which president it was, but there was one president that was playing golf while we were at war, or maybe Pearl Harbor. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's like they were just letting us know, like, don't freak out. This is under control. Look at my calm demeanor. Watch me lead. I'm playing golf for 4 hours.
So Trump was playing golf November 4th and 5th. Like, and I thought that was a major sign. I did.
After he busted his fucking balls for months, years.
None of us can sit here and say we've been in 5 states in one day.
Right.
Working all day long. Days.
For nothing. For free. Working for free.
I think some people don't know that.
And not, again, depth of understanding. You don't know that because it's not on TV, right? So it's like depth of understanding. Working for free. Donald Trump has lost, I believe, and I don't want to misquote it, but his company's the value of his stock, the value of his company, and all the negative effects of this will last for perhaps the remainder of his life, and it will damage his brand eternally. But he's on paper probably lost, I think, somewhere around $200 to $300 million. So not only does he lose the $400K a year from what would have otherwise been a job, he loses all the upside potential, all of the other value that he would have created throughout this time if he was working, and his brand went down by $300 million. So this guy just paid $300 million to bust his ass and get called a racist by everyone on the planet for the rest of his life. I mean...
Yeah, this guy's saying at the G20 this week, Justin Trudeau repped while Trump was golfing. Dude, you gotta stop watching the news, buddy. You are just, when you make comments like these, it's not a good look for you. Trump was like, it just picked like, I don't know. That just stuff like that where it's just like, yeah, but it's like, no, he was there. Just because CNN tries to tell you he wasn't, I mean, he was. Probably look that up.
Here's the other thing too, is like the other kind of piece of this is that it's kind of like the kid that would always fuck with people on the playground or fuck with people in classes to get you to be like, yo, shut the fuck up, dude. He may not even really believe that, or she. They may just be tossing that in here so that we talk about him. He gets that dopamine hit because there's some other thing missing from his life. And again, what I feel is more sadness than anger. Like, I hope that this person takes care of themselves, because this is not helping you or us. So it's just like, go focus on something that's going to be productive use of your time.
Yeah. And I'm actually using him as an example because that's kind of what we've been talking about. People just saying stuff they heard somewhere, and it's like, where's the truth? Where's your facts? Do you know that? One of the things I thought was really funny to see was People who would go out, and I just saw these on Instagram videos. You know, you watch one, it just flips to another and it's just whatever it is. And people would go out on the streets and they would be like, they'd go up to Biden supporters and they would be like, why do you like Biden? I hate Trump. Okay. Okay.
Right.
Can you find a reason that does not involve Trump? Why you would, what are Joe Biden's policies? And people are literally just standing there like, you know, honey, what is the thing he does? And that to me is terrifying. It's like, okay, you dislike somebody a lot. I get it. But do you really want to put your future and the country you live in and your children's future in the hands of somebody who you don't even really know anything about them or why you support them, except you don't like this other person? That's terrifying. I feel like that is a terrifying mindset. Like,
Yep.
like I said, I get not liking people, but it's like, you should probably at least have one reason why you like the person that you are going to vote for. But so many people in these videos were just like, what is the thing that the thing, the thing, the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people, so many people didn't have an answer. And I was just like,
Yeah. Because again, it's like, understanding the side that the mob is not on requires time and effort. And a lot of people don't want to spend time and effort. And in the same way that they don't want to spend that time and effort in their life, it also applies here. A lot of people just want to tell me what to do, tell me where to go, tell me when to show up, tell me when to leave. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there is something wrong with that in theory as it relates to things that are far more integrated in your life. As far as getting a paycheck is concerned, hey, whatever, you got to do what you got to do. But it's just dismissal of responsibility. It's not taking the time to figure it out for yourself. And again, independent thinking, I think, is uncommon. And it's super easy to just join the tribe and deal with whatever happens as a result of that. And I feel like a lot of people just lean right into that and just ride the wave. And that's why we've ended up here in a lot of ways.
well, independent thinking is more attractive to everybody. So just think about that.
True that.
So where do you go from that? You're going to keep making the videos. Like it's one of the things I look forward to. I get a little notification, you got a new one, and I'm like, yes, we're going to laugh today. Like, so what are you going to keep doing from here? How do you expand? What are you going to do?
Well, I have a very deep understanding of the internet and how it works. So I understand how the trajectory could and would look as far as making it into a career. Because what I mentioned to you before about like the endless strip of content and the fact that I'm having a lot of fun doing this. I think that I'm uniquely suited to do it. If I could tell you what the rest of my life would look like, I could honestly see myself making a video 6 to 7 days a week, every day for the rest of my entire life. I really think that may be a feasible long-term solution, and I think that is and will be what this is. When I built websites, I loved it, but it was like I'm doing an arts and craft project at home. There was never an exhibit. Nobody ever cared. It didn't matter. It was just another site. It was like making a widget. Whereas with this, it's like I get social feedback. I get to show my personality. I have fun and I'm enjoying it. It literally is my full-time job now. Like all I do is make videos and help to produce, create, make them thoughtful and funny, and then distribute them. And I think that it could go into public speaking, motivational speaking, book, movie, any variety of things, commentating, or literally, quite frankly, I think that the world has adjusted itself that I could literally do just what I'm doing right now and monetize it in perpetuity for the rest of my life, simply because it's something that lights up your life and the lives of other people. And if I could create that for people every day, I don't know a comedian that drops a new video every single day. I mean, I'm sure that there are.
A lot too, because I used to do them, and it takes a lot just to even edit that. If you're not, and I mean, like, your computer savvy, I'm not, so I mean, ugh. Like iMovie, but just me, that takes hours.
Yes, it does.
For a 4-minute video.
It does. It takes me about 4 hours to make each video every day. But the thing is that, like, I see so many tentacles that come off it that because it's not just funny. That's the thing that makes me so happy about it, is I'm not just like slapsticking around. It's like substantive, and it truly changes people's minds. And it's like a Trojan horse of the truth, like wrapped up in a ball of humor. And it's so fun. It's so interesting. I think it's meaningful, and I think that ultimately it could lead to unforetold heights. I was listening to a video earlier that basically said like you will make as much money as you think you will make and not a dollar more. Like you will hit your main goal and that's what you're going to hit. And that's just how it's going to be. If you think you're going to make $1 million to make $1 million, you're not going to make $1.5 million. So when I look at it as like, what could be the pinnacle of all this? Like maybe I'm the president. Like maybe I pull this into being the president. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I'm just a thought leader. I don't know. But to me, I'm like, how could I do something that would be heroic from this? And right now it's videos. Right now it's truth delivery, and it's funny. It's making people happy. It's making me happy. Where it will go from here, I don't know. But it's certainly going somewhere, and I'm putting all of my heart, soul, and effort into making it get to that place. And I feel like Donald Trump in a lot of ways, where I'm like relentless. Like I will not stop. I will not give up. And if my views start going down, I will find another way.
That work ethic always gets you somewhere.
Yeah, I think I'm built for this, much like I feel like you probably felt that you were built for your job, and you're just like, this is it. Like I'm doing this shit no matter what. You could hit me with a train and like I'll get up and find a way to do this, or find some offshoot that gets me to the destination that I need. Mm-hmm. So I believe that way about this, and like at the end of the day, I'm distributing happiness and thought. If I had a life full of distributing happiness and thought, that's a win for me. So
Bobby Sauce 2024.
Yeah. So it's I don't know, but the plan is
great. It's great. It's definitely needed. Like I do want to thank you for the videos you make, because I can watch them just on loop for real, and I send them to family, I send them to friends. I post them in my stories because it's everything wrapped into one. It's educational and it's funny, and you can learn something from everything. But the best part is it's funny. Even if you don't agree with it, it's funny. And I just think that like, just with how crazy everything is today, you have to have that humor, and the way you kind of ball everything together and put it in your videos, it's just hilarious. Like so good.
Thank you so much.
And everybody should go check out your page, whether they agree with your opinion or not. That's like a moot point. The fact is that the videos are hilarious and they will make your day. And I think we all need that. So it's awesome. I'm so glad I found you, Tommy G. Thank you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you got it. You got to have that. So, and I try to show everybody else too. Like this is hilarious, and you'll probably learn something new, like the $15 an hour minimum wage thing.
Yep.
You know?
I appreciate that. Yeah. I appreciate that so much. And the thing that's so crazy about the internet is it has this trackable and verifiable distribution and growth method, where it's like, it was Tommy G. I had one conversation with him. It was one video. There may be one person in this live that follows me for the rest of my life. And who knows how many that could blossom to. And if it gives you that feeling, whether there was one person in this room or 100, that's the thing that's so cool about the internet, is like you see this verifiable track record of where it goes. So I'm just super, super happy that it makes you feel that way. I appreciate you sharing it. I appreciate the conversation.
We've had literal tears. Like Velvet and I have both talked about it before, just been like dying listening to this video. Have you seen this one? Face emojis and skull heads and stuff like that. Like just hilarious.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I appreciate that so much. I that's the thing, is like to think that
K Sin 1981. I'm a follower now.
Yes, that's awesome. Just to think that I could just yell into my phone about things that were ultimately inconsequential, and people will see it around the world, is mind blowing. It's just, right? Let it be a lesson to everybody that's out there. That like, one of my other favorite quotes is like, never let the music die on your lips. And it's like, I didn't know what this would be. I didn't know how it would happen. I didn't even think it would happen, but I just knew that I just wanted to do this. So I just kept pumping it out. And before you know it, it blows out into something great. So it's just like, I would just encourage anybody to just be outward about, don't let the music die on your lips. Be outward about whatever you believe in, and you'd be surprised how many people will love you for it, especially if you think that they'll hate you for it. More people have given me love than hate. And on top of all that, like, even if I just made one new relationship, like even if I just developed a friendship with just you, it's like, it's a positive. It's like, now I have a new friend. So it's just like, when you think about how you just saying the thing that you feel inside outwardly and not being afraid of all the shots that are going to come at you, like creates this beautiful output. And anyone can do it.
That's your path. That's why it's working out for you, because you're following something that you're passionate about. That's your path.
Yeah, exactly. And it's fun.
Which is the most important part.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so let's let everybody know again where they can find you, and then let's pimp out your merch store.
At Take Naps on Instagram, at Take Naps on Parlor, Bobby Sausalito on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook.
How do you feel about Twitter?
I don't really like Twitter.
Hot garb.
Yeah, it's hot garb. I haven't really been posting much there, so I would say don't even follow me on Twitter. I don't even care. But follow me on Facebook and YouTube, and Parlor at Take Naps, or just at Take Naps on Instagram, and you'll find the rest from there. And the support that I've been getting from the store and people buying the merch, that's the lifeblood of the operation. So thank you for bringing it up, and that's BobbySauce.com, BODDY.
A buddy of mine bought a Joey Basement shirt from your store, and I posted the picture of myself wearing the this isn't helping mask, and one of my girlfriends asked me, she's like, I love that mask, where did you get it? So I posted the link, and then somebody else hearted it too. So anything anybody can do to help somebody out, especially entrepreneurs, it's really important.
Yep, I agree. No, I appreciate that.
BobbySauce.com.
That's right.
Go check it out. Thank you. This was so fun.
Yes, it was very fun. I appreciate it very much. And make sure that you save it. If you don't post it, make sure you save it. I'd love to put it up on my YouTube and put it up on my Facebook and everything.
I will do my best. Oh, God bless me. I'm not going to make any promises, but I will try to save this on my iPad, which is what I'm on.
So as soon as you end the video, it'll say share to IGTV, or it'll say save to your device. So if you want to post it on IGTV, I could just grab it right off IGTV, but then it'll be public on your account. If you don't want to do that, you can save it to your device, and then we'll have to use Dropbox or something else.
Save it to my iPad.
You could save it to your iPad as long as it has enough space to store the file. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try.
Or you could just post it to IG. I mean, it's 12 o'clock at night. Technically, if you wanted to, you could post it to IGTV. I'll literally download it right now, and then you could remove it if you want.
Okay, I'll try. I hope
Well, either way, thank you so much for the conversation. I really appreciate it.
Whenever we get back to shows and when we go back to Florida, we'll have to have you come backstage at a show for sure.
Awesome. That would be amazing. I can't wait.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks everybody for coming on. Make sure you follow Bobby at Take Naps and BobbySauce.com. Get your merch.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye,